Apologies if I seem a little under the weather. I had a golf ball-sized lump. Well, it was a golf ball in 2 dimensions. It was slightly thinner in the 3rd dimension. It looked a little bit like a mandarin when it was pulled out of my chest. Anyway, I had this thing removed from my chest, which is actually really quite curious because it was removed slightly off-center, but basically equidistant between my nipples, as you might describe this kind of circumstance. So I have a 3-inch long stitched seam now going down the front of me, which means laughter and a variety of other things are not particularly applicable. Now, I knew I was going to have this procedure since the start of this month. I just didn't allow for what having this procedure would actually mean. I guess, I don't know, I mean, I'm working from home for the 3 days remaining. I had the surgery on Wednesday. This is Thursday, as I'm speaking to you, Thursday evening. But the pain was something that I guess I'd kind of thought about, but just not really had a sense of, you know, they're actually removing quite a large chunk of your insides and sewing you back together. So, yes, an interesting experience to continue a regular workaday life, but working from home, so dealing with all the nonsense that goes on with work. And the anesthesia, which was only a local anesthetic, still left me feeling very strange for the first 3 hours following. So I'm laughing about this now because it seems kind of ridiculous to be recording a podcast about this kind of ailment. But it certainly has knocked me around a little bit and made me think very dramatically associated with who I am, what I'm doing, and all this kind of stuff. And it's made me a little bit more crotchety, which if people knew me would know is pretty well a constant for me currently anyway. So I may be more crotchety than usual. And one of the things that I've utilized this for is a slight purge with regards to the major social network, removing a bunch of folk that I just really don't know. Either I don't know who they are, or I don't want to know anything more about them. And I think this kind of cleanliness associated with one's social network is incredibly important. A number of the folks who I was connected with, I'd actually just unfollowed. And I thought, this is genuinely wrong. This isn't what I should be doing. I should actually be actively removing them because, quite frankly, that's the way things are. So, yeah, I did a cleansing with regards to that. And through the process, I realized I probably actually removed more people than I'd originally intended to. Clicking through the interface, I thought I'd remove people, and then sometimes it removed the person underneath that person. And so, yeah, the purge was probably greater than I had originally anticipated, but I cut it down by about 25%, which I think is about the right amount in these circumstances. And while I'm not feeling particularly liberated, I still have this deep pain inside my chest currently, which I'm reflecting on periodically. So, seriously though, my plan with recording this podcast was to give an outline of some of the stuff that I've been working on. Just Plain Chaos is lumbering towards a March date where I pass it on to the vocal talent, and I think that's still pretty well on course. I've got a bit more editing to do, a bit more slicing and dicing to put in there, but it's getting to a point where I know what needs to be rewritten and I know what parts I'm comfortable with. And I'm doing additional writing as well for what, you know, the gang-related book, let's just call it that. In addition to this, I've been working on the APSDK quite a bit as well. I recorded I guess formally what is called a Biota podcast, who knows what it's going to be called in the future, with Anton Mikhailov, and that went out in audio form last week. But part of this has also been just doing basic, modifications and just, you know, the new Mac operating system. You've got to fix a bunch of stuff, which is standard practice for this kind of stuff. So, you know, this kind of, practical programming, for want of a better term, is keeping me off the streets currently, keeping me busy in the evenings. The music, I have one track that I'm really comfortable with, and I think I need to record maybe 3 or 4 other tracks to put around it. So that is going to be coming hopefully in a early February timeframe. Once I can lift things again, this thing in my chest stops me from being able to lift stuff and do a lot of relatively basic stuff. But also, I'm planning my garden now. I've got a variety of chilies which haven't yet come up, but are currently under heat, with the view that hopefully they will come up. And yeah, I'm just considering what will go in my garden this year, given the fact that we will be going down to Southern California, but not in the time frames that I originally thought. So all this stuff is moving in a variety of different directions. But I reflect on the fact that, I guess going into the operation, I didn't really have a sense of how dramatic it would be. I mean, there's kind of 2 possible case scenarios. One, you come out and it's nothing. One, you don't come out. But having experienced it, and also the relationship that one has with a surgeon in these circumstances, these are all complicated things that I have legacy PTSD associated with, so sometimes it's probably not best to reflect too heavily on this stuff. But yeah, certainly I'm very mindful that surgery historically for me has been something that hasn't always worked out right, and has usually left a great degree of pain and other curious circumstances, which are worthy of, noting when one goes into these experiences. I've been doing quite a bit of reading of late as well. Not really in the areas that I wanted to be reading. I should probably record a My Rules Are Better to talk more about that aspect of things. But yeah, certainly getting around to doing some stuff in the reading domain and consuming a few books of interesting points of note. Anyway, I think I probably should record a My Rules Are Better as well to explain my current state and leave this one just here as it is. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, still alive, mysteriously, but signing out.